All right, today we're going to be taking a look at some of the ways you can navigate within the YouVersion Bible app. So let's open up the app. And we're going to go to the Read section at the bottom. So press on that. All right, the first thing we're going to look at is how to change translations. So if you go up here and click on the translation section, you can see you can choose from a variety of translations. There's like 60 English versions you can choose from, and it will keep up in this recently used section. It'll keep up with the 5 most recently open translations. Okay, so if you can scroll through the list to find translations, or you can stay up at the top and click in the little search box and type in a version. So one of the versions I like to read occasionally is the Tree of Life. So I'll just type in tree and there it is. I choose that. Alright, so now when I go back into the versions, you can see now I've got a complete list of my 5 most recently used translations, and you can quickly then jump between those 5 recently used. Now one other thing to consider is if you go back up to where the versions are, the translations, you'll see these icons. This right here indicates, that icon indicates that that particular version has been downloaded. As I scroll through the list, you'll see that there's others that says, hey, you can download that version. The only reason to download is when you're in situations where you do not have connectivity. If you haven't downloaded the version, you won't be able to read that version in your Bible app. So I would just recommend download the versions you typically use or would like to use, and don't worry about the others. So let's say that you're now wanting to change the book of the Bible. So you're in John 1, verse 1. Let's click on this. Let's say you want to go to Ephesians. Maybe I want to go to Ephesians 2, verse 8. So that's how you can switch back and forth between your readings of the Bible. Now if you pick the book again, you see that there's a list of what's called traditional view. These are the order in which the books occur in the Bible. But if you're a new Christian and you're not sure where books in the Bible are, then you can go to the alphabetical view, and here you can just scroll alphabetically to find the book you need. So now I'm going to show you how you can change the font to make it easier to read. If you look up here at the top right, you'll see the AA. That's just a little symbol there to indicate you can change your font. So you can make the font smaller or larger. You can change the spacing between the lines, going from little spacing to kind of the mid view to maybe wide spacing between lines. I prefer the middle view myself. Here you can also change the actual font itself, so you can scroll through the list and pick any of the fonts you like. I actually prefer the default. That makes it easier to read, I think. If for some reason, and notice right up here at the top, all of a sudden my toolbar has changed at the top and I don't see the font symbol. So in order to get that back, all I've got to do is just tap on the top and I can see that that comes back. So now I can go back in and change the font as I need to. Now another great feature in the YouVersion Bible app is that some of the translations have audio associated with them. So if you see this little symbol next to the actual version, you know that that particular version has audio enabled. Now if it doesn't have that symbol, then you know that there is no audio for it. So right now I'm in the Home and Christian Standard Bible, and that has audio. So you can see right up here, I can just click on that icon, the audio symbol, and right here it will start playing.
Ephesians chapter 2. And you were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you previously walked, according to the ways of this world, according to the ruler who exercises authority over the lower heavens, the spirit now working in the disobedient. We too all previously lived among them in our fleshly desires.
So what's interesting about this is it actually will scroll through the written word as it's reading it to you. So that can be quite helpful at times. You can also use these controls to fast forward through the verses. So I'm just going to press that on my iPhone, and you see right now it's in verse 4. If I press it again, the fast forward, it's going to go to verse 5. So you can go forward, or if you want to go in reverse, you can just press right here. And of course it shows you what verse you're at as a reference point. Alright, one more thing worth mentioning is part of the audio. It says show controls. I do not recommend that you press that. If you do, it's going to put this little icon up here in the body of your text. And the problem with that is sometimes you're reading the Bible and you're actually wanting to read it, not to play it, and you will inadvertently hit that button, say for example when you're in a church service, and that can be quite embarrassing. So I recommend you always hide these controls. Now once again, if you don't have the audio control icon up here at the top, all you have to do is just tap up next to that at the top where it would be, and it will appear. So then you can then go to it anytime you need to and scroll through the verses as you wish. Hopefully that helps you on the audio. Alright, some other quick ways in which you can navigate through the YouVersion Bible app is by using these navigation forward and previous buttons. And so these are controlling which chapter you're in. So right now you can see we're in Ephesians 2 when you look at the top. But if I hit the forward button right here, that's going to go to Ephesians 3. And by the way, if I try to scroll up, I can't see chapter 2. The only way to get to chapter 2 is going to be to go back here and click on the navigation previous. Or of course you can go up here to the top and pick a chapter that way as well. But these navigation controls right here can be very handy. Now sometimes you'll be scrolling through and notice now the navigation buttons disappeared. And you look up at the top of your toolbar area up here and you see it's other things have disappeared. In order to get the navigation buttons back, just tap up there near the version and you can see it all appears again. So that's how you can navigate quickly. Alright, so now let's take a look at the compare feature that's in the Bible app. And this is one of my favorite features in the YouVersion Bible app. So I'm going to click on verse 2 just by pressing on it anywhere in the verse 2. And that pulls up a list of things that I can do. I can share this verse, I can make an image with this verse, and I can compare. There's various other things, but we're wanting to look at compare right now. So I'm going to compare. So right now it gives me a list of various translations for that verse. And as I scroll through, I can see many different translations all at one time for that very verse right there. And I can add as many of these versions as I like in order to do a comparison. And the way to do that is to click this Add Version button. So if I click that, it's going to show grayed out any of the ones that I've already chosen. So the first one I could choose that's in my recent would be the ESV. So let me add that. So now that added that at the bottom. Now if I wish to change the order in which these versions appear in this compare function, all I've got to do is click on Edit up here at the top, where I can either delete a version from the compare or I can rearrange the order in which they occur. So I'm going to take the ESV and I'm going to long press by holding this button right here. And once I hold it, you see that the line shows a difference in it, and I can start moving it to wherever I wish that to be. I can go all the way up to the top. Well, actually I can't go to the top. I can always go one level below the current version that I'm in. And so I'm just going to drop it right there. But I could redo any of these just by holding and dragging them around. Okay? Then another thing that you can do is I scroll to the very bottom, you're going to see these controls appear again, the next verse and the previous verse. So you can just kind of scroll through and see verse by verse how these translations compare. Very, very useful and beneficial tool. Now, one more thing related to the compare version is you don't just have to do that on one verse. You could actually pick several verses and compare. That is really slick. If you really want to get specific, you could skip a verse. So you could do verse 1 and 2, skip verse 3, and pick up at verse 4 and do compare. And that's exactly how that will be. So you can see it's got verse 1, verse 2, there is no verse 3, and then it goes to verse 4. So there's lots of ways in which you can do this compare function. Now, another feature within the app that is very similar to compare, but it's a little bit different, is called the parallel function. And that's where it compares just two translations side by side, and you can scroll through reading the Bible verse by verse in parallel. Now, that function requires you to rotate your smartphone in a horizontal position, and so I'm going to do a separate video tutorial on that, where the tutorial will be horizontal. Now, one feature I meant to mention when we were talking about versions is, like right now I'm in the Holman Christian Standard Bible. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom of any chapter, it doesn't matter which chapter you're in, but if you scroll down, you're going to see something that says Learn More. And if you press on that, it's going to bring up information about the translation that you're reading. And so this is quite interesting. You can actually go to the website, Holman Christian Standard website, and you can learn more about that translation. So very, very interesting how they've done that. If I were to change the translation and say to go to ESV and scroll down to the bottom, I've got that same Learn More button at the bottom. There again, it's going to bring up information related to the ESV version. So lots of ways in which you can find out about more information about the translation that you're reading, or translations that you might wish to start learning more about. Okay, so now I'm going to end the tips for this session by showing you one of my favorite features in the YouVersion Bible app. If you go to the top left of your toolbar and click on this little compass icon, this will pull up any related videos for the current book you're reading. Now, the videos by the Bible Project are absolutely outstanding, and you can see it's going to list the source of who's producing the video right here. So in order to play the video, just hit the play button.
Paul's letter to the Ephesians. The story of how Paul came to the city of Ephesus is really interesting. You can go read about it in Acts chapter 19. Ephesus was a huge city. It was the epicenter of worship for most of the Greek and Roman gods. And for over 2 years, Paul had a really effective missionary presence there, and lots of people became followers of Jesus. Years later, after being imprisoned by the Romans, Paul wrote this letter. The movement of thought in the letter divides into two really clear halves. In the first half, Paul is exploring the story of the gospel, how all history came to its climax in Jesus and in his creation of this multi-ethnic community of his followers. The second half of the letter is linked to the first by the word therefore. And here Paul explores how the gospel story should affect how we live every part of our life story, personally, in our neighborhoods and communities, and in our family. Help us grow and mature as followers of Jesus. And that's the letter to the Ephesians. Very powerful. It's where Paul summarizes the whole gospel story and how it should reshape every part of our life story.
Okay, so that's just a quick example of what it's like in playing one of these Bible Project videos. So in order to go back, just click on this back button right here, and then you can minimize, get out of that. Now, one other thing I want to show you is some of the chapters, some of the books, I should say, in the scriptures, let me go to Genesis, will have multiple video sources. So if you go back up here to the same compass icon and click it, you can see now there's a list of videos, not just one. Now this video is made by the Jesus Film Project. It's part of their videos. Then you've got spoken gospel videos. And then you've got, of course, the Bible Project videos like what we've just seen. So they've got everything that's a related video for that book will pull up here, and that is really powerful way to learn more about the books of the Bible. Now there is one other way in which you can get to the videos that are found in the YouVersion Bible app, and I want to show that to you real quick, and it's by going to the More button. And here you see there's a section called Videos, so click on that. Okay, so this pulls up all the videos that are related to the YouVersion Bible app. Some of these videos are produced by the Spoken Gospel, so as you scroll through you can look at that icon and know that that's a Spoken Gospel. Then you've got other videos that are out there and you can see on streaming services like YouTube or on Netflix or Amazon Prime. So you can get to any of these videos. Then this icon here indicates that's a Bible Project icon. So if you click into the Old Testament, you've got all the books listed there. So that's another way in which you can get to all the videos. Just go back. The Bible Project, in addition to videos about books of the Bible, they've got series set up related to things like wisdom, and so it'll go through and show you various things about that. So there's just a lot that's out here. I love these How to Read the Bible. That's the project, the Bible Project videos, a whole series. So as you scroll down, you can open up what's called the New Testament videos, and each of these books of the New Testament are in here. Some of the books have more than one video. So I highly recommend these videos. They're really fantastic study aids. Be sure to take a look at the other videos to learn more about how to use the YouVersion Bible app.